My mom is the side character in a romance novel who finally woke up. To survive, she quickly divorced my dad, whose heart still belonged to his first love. And to make sure I wouldn't suffer,
She found me a new dad right away.
my new dad. Handsome and loaded with cash. His only flaw? Too many ex-girlfriends. That day, one of his exes showed up at the cafe to mock my mom. You think he proposed because he loves you? He's still seeing me behind your back. Mom took a calm sip of her coffee. But I'd be called the wife. You're just the other woman. After Mom said that, the pretty lady across from her froze for a second, then tried again. He doesn't love you.
He's just curious about your type.
It's a phase. Mom kept drinking her coffee, totally unbothered. The pretty lady was getting frustrated. She pulled out her phone and started swiping through photos. Yachts, sports cars, northern lights. My new dad was in every single one. She talked and talked until her mouth was dry. But Mom's expression never changed. Mom only turned to me occasionally. Rose, no more ice cream, okay? The pretty lady snapped. Jasmine, are you even listening to me? Mom answered gently. Of course. You said Everett goes on every business trip with you. Even when he video calls me, you're sitting on his lap. The pretty lady looked smug. How does that make you feel? Mom smiled. She always looked beautiful when she smiled. Why would I feel anything? I wasn't there. You two were the ones feeling something, right? How was the sneaking around? Mom wasn't angry. I was genuinely asking. But the pretty lady exploded. She stood up like a rooster about to crow. Face red, neck stretched high. You're a second-hand woman with a child. You really think Everett cares about you? Be smart and leave before he dumps you. See this custom dress?
He bought it for me.
I'm going with him to tonight's gala. Then she grabbed her purse and stormed out. I put down my ice cream and ran after her. I grabbed the corner of her dress and looked up. Miss, I'm not a burden. I'm my mom's treasure. She yanked her dress away in disgust. Don't wrinkle my dress. Then she walked off without looking back. I opened my hand and saw a big, ugly chocolate ice cream stain on the back of her beautiful dress. Mom saw it too. But she didn't say anything. Because she also hated when people called me a burden. Mom once told me she used half her life and lost a bathtub full of blood to bring me into this world. That's why Mom always respected my opinion. She asked me, what do you think about Uncle Everett becoming your new dad? Or would you rather stay with your real dad? I tilted my head and thought about it. Mom's divorce from dad was partly because of me. I heard that when Mom was giving birth to me, she was in unbearable pain. Dad coldly removed her pain relief. He said, deal with it. Fiona suffered way more than you. Fiona was Dad's deceased first love, his white moonlight. Back then, Dad blamed everything on innocent Mom. After Mom gave birth to me and nearly lost her life, he suddenly woke up and demanded a divorce immediately. Mom held me and said, if I don't divorce him now,
He'll harm me.
even a side character's life matters. Dad either didn't want the divorce or was truly heartless. He gave Mom an ultimatum. You can have the divorce, but you only get to keep either the money or the kid. Mom said she wanted to choose the money, but I cried out like a weak little kitten. And she felt guilty, so she chose me. Mom was lying. No matter what, she would always choose me. After that, because we had no money, we both lived miserably. Mainly because Dad was cruel. He warned so many companies not to hire Mom. Until we met Uncle Everett. He was interested in Mom and Mom immediately understood. Uncle Everett was handsome and rich. He bought Mom a big house. Mom and I didn't have to squeeze into that tiny apartment with cockroaches anymore. He also sent me to a beautiful, huge kindergarten where the teachers were so gentle. No one was mean to me, even when I misbehaved. No one secretly hurt me. Mom didn't have to work so hard anymore. She used to fall asleep standing up while cooking noodles for me and hit her head, leaving a huge, ugly bump. So, what's so bad about him having many ex-girlfriends? Mom said kids can ask when they don't understand. So I asked Mom, everyone says Uncle Everett's heart isn't with you. So where's his heart? Can a person's heart move around? Mine can't. Mom smiled lightly. Who cares where his heart is? I don't need his heart. Love costs money. She also said most rich men are players, casual about women as they are about spending money. I didn't really understand, but Mom added, he's the best candidate I could find to be your new dad. He said he'll rent out an entire amusement park for you this weekend. I understood that last part and got super excited. I'm just as happy as Mom about Uncle Everett being my new dad. Mom, you two have to get married, okay? Mom smiled and said, okay. Then my new dad arrived. Why so happy? He patted my head and handed me a cute bunny doll, but his eyes were on Mom. Every time he came over, Mom was super busy. She waited on him, like servants in old TV shows waited on their masters. She'd get him slippers, pour tea, wash fruit, everything. Sometimes my new dad would playfully refuse to wash his hands. So mom would use my wet wipes to clean each of his fingers. My new dad said mom was the gentlest woman he'd ever met. Actually, he didn't know mom wasn't always that gentle. Even though mom couldn't even open a water bottle. In front of my new dad, she secretly learned Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Taekwondo. Her coach always praised her stamina. Your mom is so fierce, she could almost take down an elephant. My new dad said he loved coming to our house. It was relaxing and felt like home. Maybe that's why he wanted to marry mom. Mom didn't believe it at first. My new dad convinced her. I'm a self-made millionaire. I choose my own wife.
So,
Does that mean my real dad was forced to marry mom? Because he's a trust fund kid? Sometimes. I was scared my new dad might have health issues at our house. Because TV shows say men fear certain situations. I got so scared, I secretly took out my superhero toy, stuck 3 fries in it, and prayed, please don't let my new dad have problems. He has to marry mom. Because I didn't know if mom had saved enough money yet. I was terrified mom would work herself too hard again and fall asleep cooking noodles, hitting her head. Maybe the superhero didn't understand English. My new dad was fine, but it seemed like he couldn't marry mom anymore. Ugh, I should have just eaten those 3 fries myself.
Part 2.
That day, my new dad said he had a headache. While mom was massaging his temples, he grabbed her hand. Jasmine, come with me to my college reunion tomorrow. Mom looked surprised, because she'd never been to any of my new dad's gatherings. He'd never invited her before either. Mom said, my new dad was probably afraid of running into his girlfriends. I understood matching outfits, but not matching girlfriends. Mom smiled and explained that my new dad had many girlfriends. In different social circles. He was like a fish jumping between different ponds. 2 fish show up in the same pond. He'll be overwhelmed trying to manage both. I kind of got it. My new dad was the pond owner. My new dad tried to persuade mom. We're getting married soon. Shouldn't you meet my friends? At first, mom lowered her head and said, nothing like a quiet orchid. Didn't you say you wanted to learn project management at my company? These people could be useful to you. Later, when work was mentioned, mom's eyes lit up. Actually, mom was way more interested in work than going deep-sea fishing with my new dad. Mom once said, I'd rather he teach me to fish than just give me fish. All this fish talk. I didn't get it. But mom agreed to go to the reunion. The day of my new dad's college reunion. I was there too because my new dad said kids were allowed. Everyone said I was adorable. Everett, you made such a beautiful kid. She looks like a little angel. It's already 4, and you've been hiding her. When's the wedding? My new dad listened quietly, then smiled slightly.
Soon.
He didn't tell everyone he wasn't my biological father. If my new dad didn't say, it naturally wouldn't either. Everyone said my new dad had kept mom well hidden. Your wife is so gentle and virtuous. No wonder the playboy finally settled down. Someone else said a stable family makes a good impression. Everett's getting married. Probably to run for president of the Harbor City Business Association.
Right? Right.
My new dad didn't respond, just raised his glass and smiled at them. Then they moved on to another topic. Only the cold, stern man in the black trench coat across from mom stayed silent. Everyone seemed not to dare joke with him and treated him with respect. Actually, I knew him. The current CEO of Phoenix Holdings. Former illegitimate son. Mom had shown me his picture in the business section. That was my biological father. But no one knew mom used to be dad's wife. Not even my new dad. 'Cause they never had a wedding. They just got a marriage certificate. Had me, then got a divorce certificate. Dad only glanced at me once before looking away. Up close, both my new dad and my dad were handsome. My new dad was handsome in a gentle, romantic way. My dad was handsome in a noble,
Cold way.
the ladies at the table kept stealing glances at them both, with the same look as my new dad's ex-girlfriends. Only mom looked at neither of them. Turns out my new dad could be pretty funny one.
Why are you staring at me?
Do I have food on my face? And suddenly those ladies didn't dare look anymore, lowering their heads in fear to eat. Mom calmly picked at her food, fed me and fed my new dad. But when she picked up a piece of white fish for herself, a cold, deep voice suddenly cut through the air. That fish will make you break out in hives. It came from dad across the table, but his expression didn't look concerned, more like he was making a joke. Though his voice wasn't loud, mom seemed startled. Her fingers trembled slightly and she knocked over her drink glass. Red drink spilled across mom's white dress like blooming flowers. Mom looked at my new dad, who was turned away, talking to someone about land deals and financing. He didn't seem to hear. Only then did mom's expression relax slightly. He said softly to my new dad, I'm going to the restroom. Mom was gone for a while. My new dad kept chatting with people while piling food onto my plate. It became a mountain. My belly was getting round, and I couldn't eat anymore. So, I made an excuse to go find Mom. At the end of the long hallway, Mom was coming back. But then Dad suddenly appeared and pulled Mom into an empty, private room. I didn't call out. Quietly followed. The door was left slightly open. They stood by the window and didn't notice me. Dad had a cigarette in his mouth. He said casually, "I thought you had so much pride, going almost 4 years without coming to me. Turns out you just found yourself a replacement." Mom looked down and smiled faintly. "People have to survive, don't they?" Dad grabbed Mom's chin. "What if I told Everett you're my ex-wife? Think he'd still want you? We were rivals back in school. He'd never want something I discarded. Especially not a person." Mom's body stiffened slightly, but her clenched fist slowly opened. "Sterling, you shouldn't have time to worry about your ex-wife's business.
Right.
Even a cornered rabbit will fight back." Dad's lips curved, but there was no smile in his eyes. "Now I'm curious. Let's see how you fight back." Dad grabbed Mom's chin again and leaned closer. He blew smoke right in Mom's face. Mom coughed violently. My little fists were clenched. I wanted to rush in and confront him. Just then, footsteps sounded behind me. "Rose, where's your mom?" My new dad was coming. His shiny leather shoes clicked crisply on the polished hallway floor with each step. In 5 more steps, he'd reach me. Then he'd see Dad and Mom in that empty room. I looked at the closed door, then at my new dad's shiny shoes approaching. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. If new dad saw old dad bullying Mom, the wedding would be off. No wedding meant no big house, no protection, and Mom working until she fell asleep standing up again. I couldn't let that happen. Just as new dad was 3 steps away, I threw my ice cream spoon on the ground with a loud clatter and let out a wail that could shatter glass.
Ow, ow.
My tummy, it hurts like a monster is eating it. New dad froze. The business smile vanished, replaced by panic. He rushed to me, crouching down. "Rose? Sweetheart, what's wrong? Is it the seafood?" I clutched my stomach, squeezing my eyes shut. "I want to go home." Everything is spinning. Behind new dad, the private room door clicked open. I peeked through my eyelashes. Mom slipped out, her face pale but composed. She smoothed her dress, looking like nothing had happened, though her eyes were red. Old dad didn't follow her out. He stayed in the shadows, probably brooding like a villain in a cartoon. "Jasmine." New dad looked up. "Rose is sick." Mom was beside us in a heartbeat. She scooped me up, her arms trembling slightly. "We need to leave."
Now.
"I'll drive," new dad said, standing up. "No," Mom said a little too sharply. She softened her voice immediately. "You have guests, Everett. You're the star tonight. Send the driver. We'll be fine." New dad hesitated, looking between Mom's flushed face and my fake tears. Finally, he nodded. "Okay. I'll call you later. Take care of our little princess." As we walked away, I looked over Mom's shoulder. The door to the private room was fully open now. Old dad was leaning against the frame, holding his unlit cigarette. He caught my eye. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked lonely. But then he winked at me. A cold, knowing wink. I buried my face in Mom's neck. The war wasn't over. It was just starting. A week later, the atmosphere in our big house changed. Mom wasn't just doing yoga anymore. When new dad wasn't around, she was on the phone, speaking in a low, serious voice. She was talking about stocks, acquisitions, and shell companies. "Mom, are we buying a turtle?" I asked, looking up from my coloring book. Mom smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes.
No, baby.
"We're buying armor. Just in case." New dad came over for dinner that night with a velvet box. I knew what it was. It was the ring. "Jasmine," he said, getting on one knee in our living room. "You make me look good. You make my life organized. Let's make it official." It wasn't the most romantic speech, but Mom said yes. She acted shy and happy, like the gentle orchid he thought she was. But when he hugged her, I saw her hand behind his back. It wasn't relaxed. It was a fist. The trouble started at the engagement party. It was held on a yacht because rich people love boats. I was wearing a fluffy pink dress that looked like a cupcake. I was eating a real cupcake when a shadow fell over me. "You have chocolate on your nose." It was old dad. I scrubbed my nose with the back of my hand. "Go away. You're a bad guy." Old dad sat down on the bench next to me, ignoring the dirty look from a passing waiter. "I am," he agreed. "But Everett isn't a hero, Rose. He's using your mother." "You used her first," I shouted, then covered my mouth. Old dad flinched. It was the first time I saw him look like he was in pain. "Touché," he muttered. "But Everett is in debt. His company is a hollow shell. He's marrying Jasmine because he thinks I still want her. He wants to leverage her to get a deal with Phoenix Holdings. Once he gets the money, he'll discard her. I stopped chewing. You're lying. I wish I was. Why do you think he rushes the wedding? He needs the liquidity. Old Dad stood up, smoothing his suit. Tell your mom to check his offshore accounts in the Caymans. If she's smart, and I'm starting to realize she is, she'll understand. I ran to find Mom. She was on the deck, letting new Dad show her off to a group of investors. I tugged her dress. Mom, Caymans. Offshore accounts. Empty shell. Mom froze. She looked down at me, her eyes sharpening.
Who told you that?
I pointed to the empty spot where old Dad had been. Mom didn't panic. She didn't cry. She just handed her champagne glass to a waiter. Everett, darling, she said sweetly. I have a migraine. I'm going to rest in the cabin for a moment. She went to the cabin, opened her laptop, and typed furiously for 10 minutes. When she stopped, her face was scary. Not Mom is mad, I drew on the wall, scary. It was General going to war, scary. He's right, she whispered. Everett is bankrupt. He's going to use my name to take out loans and then file for divorce, leaving me with a debt. She closed the laptop. Rose, pack your dolls. We aren't marrying Uncle Everett. We didn't just leave. Mom said leaving quietly is for losers. We had to leave with a bang. The next day, Mom went to new Dad's office. I sat in the waiting room, drawing a picture of a shark eating a man in a suit. Suddenly, I heard crashing sounds.
Bam. Crash.
Thud. You can't do this, Jasmine. You're nothing without me. New Dad's voice screamed. I was nothing with you. Mom yelled back. And I'm certainly not going to be your debt mule. The door flew open. New Dad came flying out, literally. He landed on the carpet in a heap. Mom walked out after him. She wasn't wearing her soft floral dresses. She was wearing a sharp black pantsuit and high heels that looked like weapons. She had flipped him. My gentle mom, who pretended she couldn't open a jar, had just judo flipped a grown man. Don't come near me or my daughter again, Mom said, stepping over him. Or I'll show you what I learned in Muay Thai level 4. She grabbed my hand. Let's go, Rose. We're getting ice cream. But as we walked out of the building, a black limousine pulled up. The window rolled down. It was old Dad. Need a ride? He asked. No, Mom said, walking past him. I bought the company, old Dad said casually. Mom stopped. Which one? Everett's. And the one that fired you 5 years ago. And the kindergarten Rose goes to. I'm in a buying mood. Mom turned around, her eyes blazing. Is this supposed to impress me, Sterling? Using money to control everything. Old Dad got out of the car. He looked different.
Tired. No.
I'm trying to clear the path. I made your life hell, Jasmine. I know that. I thought if I pushed you away, my mother wouldn't target you. I thought Fiona was the safe choice because she was already dying and had powerful parents. What? Mom frowned. Fiona wasn't my first love, old Dad said, his voice raspy. She was my business partner. We had a deal. I pretended to love her so my family would leave the commoner girl I actually liked alone. But I was young and stupid, and I broke you instead of protecting you. Mom laughed. It was a cold, dry sound. So, you treated me like trash for my own good? That's the worst excuse I've ever heard. I know, old Dad said. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm offering a job. He held out a folder. VP of Operations at Phoenix Holdings. You found Everett's fraud in 10 minutes. My compliance team missed it for months. You're brilliant, Jasmine. You always were. I was just too blind to see it. Mom looked at the folder, then at me. We were broke again. We had nowhere to go. Double the salary, Mom said. And full custody of Rose stays with me. You have no rights to her. Deal, old Dad said too quickly. Mom became the scary boss lady at the big tower. She wore sharp suits and cut her hair into a cool bob. I went to the fancy kindergarten, but now when people asked who my dad was, I said, I have a mom. She's the king. Old Dad, Sterling, kept his word. He didn't try to be my dad. He just hovered. He brought me limited edition toys and stood 5 feet away while I played. He brought Mom coffee exactly how she liked it, placed it on her desk, and left without a word. It was kind of sad. He was like a big, lost dog that had bitten its owner and was now waiting outside the door in the rain. But peace doesn't last in romance novels. One day, a woman showed up at my school. She looked like a ghost. Pale, blonde, frail.
Are you Rose? She asked. Stranger danger.
I yelled, backing away. I'm Fiona's sister, she hissed. And you and your mother stole everything from us. She grabbed my arm. She was surprisingly strong for a skinny lady. She dragged me toward a car. Let me go. I screamed. I bit her hand.
Hard.
I tasted expensive lotion and bitterness. She shrieked and slapped me. It hurt. But then, A shadow flew through the air. It was Mom. She had jumped over the school gate. She didn't look like a gentle orchid. She looked like a dragon. She didn't use Muay Thai this time. She just tackled the lady. They rolled on the grass. Mom was ferocious. She pinned the lady down and growled, "Touch her again, and you won't have hands." Then, police sirens wailed. Old Dad's car screeched to a halt. He jumped out, face white as a sheet. He saw me crying, holding my cheek. He saw Mom panting, her knuckles bruised. He walked over to the lady, who was crying about her sister. Old Dad didn't yell. He leaned down and whispered something in her ear. The lady stopped crying. Her eyes went wide with pure terror. He came to us. He fell to his knees in the dirt, ruining his $1,000 suit. He tried to touch Mom, then stopped. He tried to touch me, then stopped. His hands were shaking. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I thought I neutralized them. I'm so sorry." Mom looked at him. She didn't push him away this time. She saw the fear in his eyes. It matched hers. "Take us home, Sterling," she said quietly. 6 months later, I was sitting in the front row of the Businesswoman of the Year gala. Mom was on stage. She looked radiant in a red dress, not a soft white one, but bold, fire engine red. She wasn't Sterling's wife. She wasn't Everett's fiance. She was Jasmine, the CEO of her own subsidiary company. She gave her speech. "People used to tell me I was a side character," she said, looking right at the camera, "that I should be grateful for scraps of affection. But I learned that you don't wait for the spotlight to find you. You build your own stage." Everyone clapped. Even the pretty lady who had mocked Mom at the cafe months ago. She was clapping the hardest, looking terrified because Mom was now her boss's boss. After the speech, we went to the balcony. The city lights looked like spilled jewels. Sterling was there, holding 2 glasses of juice and a glass of wine. He handed me a juice and Mom the wine. "You were amazing," he said. "I know," Mom replied, sipping her wine. "I've signed the papers," Sterling said, handing her an envelope. "Transfer of 40% of Phoenix Holdings to you. And I'm stepping down as CEO. I'm moving to the London branch." Mom paused. "Why?" "Because you need space to shine. And I can't be near you without wanting to be with you, and I know I don't deserve that. So, I'm removing the villain from your story." He turned to leave. He actually looked relieved, like he was finally doing the right thing for the first time in his life. I looked at Mom. She was looking at his back. Her eyes weren't cold anymore. They were thoughtful. "Hey," I yelled. Sterling stopped and turned around. "You owe me a trip to the amusement park," I shouted. "You promised." He blinked. I did.
Yes.
"And Mom needs a partner for the bumper cars because she drives too aggressive and gets banned if she's alone." Mom choked on her wine. A small smile tugged at the corner of her lips. She looked at Sterling, really looked at him. He wasn't the arrogant prince anymore. He was a man trying to rebuild a ruin.
"Rose is right," Mom said.
"I do get banned. And London is rainy. You hate rain." Sterling stared at her, hope blooming in his eyes like a sunrise. It was slow and fragile, but it was there. "I can stay," he whispered.
"If you let me."
"You can stay," Mom said, walking over to fix his crooked tie. "But you're on probation. Lifetime probation. And you have to wash the dishes. We don't have servants in my house." Sterling smiled. It was the first real smile I'd ever seen on him. It made him look handsome, like a real dad. "I can learn." I took a bite of my macaron. The side character had woken up, defeated the monsters, saved the kingdom, and tamed the beast. Mom winked at me. I winked back. We lived happily ever after. Not because a prince saved us, but because Mom saved herself and let the prince tag along for the ride.